have no idea why I just played those chords, but music goes inside me. That feels to my body differently than this does, and certainly different than this does. Let's go inside. Hi, Paul MacFarlane here, and my good friend, Lizanne Paul. Why are we here, Lizanne?
I don't know, Paul. I think we're here. I shouldn't say I don't know, should I? Paul, we're here to make sure everybody makes great advertising.
Absolutely, and as simple as that is, it's not easy. Look around. So today, we actually had a conversation before this, which I'm glad you didn't hear. We were talking about archetypes and archetype models. What are they? Do we understand them? Are they of any use? Let's find out. So the first one we'll talk about, and I'll let Lizanne explain, take you through this, is a brand archetype model you may have seen before.
So I quite like this one because it's a bit self-explanatory, isn't it? You've got these well-known brands, and 12 of them all together.
Yeah, it's like the
So this
horoscope.
is it kind of is the horoscope, actually, yeah. So this is based on Jungian
Oh, 11.
personality theory. Yes, Jung. That's all you need to know, really. But it does make you sound quite clever when you mention it. And what we're seeing here are key personality traits. So if you were to look at any really big blockbuster film, you're probably going to get a mixture of characters. You will have the sage, the innocent, someone who might be the mad inventor or the creator. You'll have the rebel who creates issues. You'll have the lover, the love interest. So storytellers will always have a mixture of these characters. Pretty much anything you watch, whether it's a soap opera, a film, anything, or indeed reality TV, you'll find a mixture of characters like these who will often be opposites, slightly related to each other, or completely poles apart. However, with brands, brands need to have a personality to have a position in people's minds. And this is a really good tool as a start point for thinking, what does my brand mean to people? What space does it occupy in their head? If this brand was to be a person, like the ones in the wheel that are coloured pink or blue or green, which would it be? How would it talk to me? What types of things would it be doing? So it's just basically, for me, a conversation starter where I'd say to somebody that wants to rejuvenate their brand or create one from scratch, where do you sit at the minute? And that's a really good starting point because a lot of people won't necessarily know, or some people will, but they'll feel that it's become a bit stale. Does that
Precisely.
work?
Precisely. See, I'm so glad you brought this up because this is for people who are learning about how to do marketing and branding. So useful. I don't even know how to tell you. It's really useful. But for me, it's inherently unsatisfying, meaning this is not a destination, it's a stopping off point. For instance, for me, when I look at Nike, okay, hero, and it's touching external. But no, Nike, the journey of an athlete is intensely internal. So already it breaks down if you try to organize it and boil it down. However, the main thing I say is if you can understand a model like this, understand what the archetypes are, understand these examples, then you can innovate without being trapped by it. It is a palette of colors to paint with. Because the main thing is these brands, any one of them, can change over time from one to another, and our relationship can change. But again, the importance is, do you know what it means to be a creator, a ruler versus the regular guy, a hero versus a rebel? If you don't understand them, understand archetypes, and that gives you a step inside a deeper understanding of human archetypes, which have to be brand archetypes.
And the other thing I would say is just every brand will have a kind of number one position on this wheel, but it doesn't stop there. So, like you talked about Nike just now, Paul, it does make sense that it's the hero brand. You know, it's trying to change how we think about things, and the whole way it talks about itself and the energy that it has, and trying to change things. You know, it could potentially also be not quite the rebel, but it's kind of getting there a bit. It's got a footprint in there. And then you also mentioned it's not all about the external, it's about the internal. So
So the
you
important thing here is the words that are there and what do they mean, because it doesn't
yeah,
appear to say Nike can be an internal hero, but they are. And you understand those words. So again, understanding the terms and play with them in your own mind and with your team and your group.
yeah.
See where you run into walls and then break it apart, rearrange it, make your own model, you know?
Yeah, I mean, this really is just a starting point, like we've said. But I think the other thing is all the brands that I've worked with will have a position somewhere on that wheel. But they will also have a way of talking about themselves in terms of their tone of voice or the personality that they project. And that might not be exactly where they sit as a brand, if that makes sense. So, can I give you an example? And now I'm trying to think on my feet. So,
Well, see,
you know,
yeah, take it easy for a second, because here's another example.
oh,
Some
okay, all right.
people might say, I like this model better. In other words, that means I can learn easier with it. Go into these words and the way they're organized. Even if you don't agree with them, understand them, and it'll open up your mind to other possibilities so you can learn and then work from it.
Okay. So the example I was going to give, if I can jump in and you did give me time to think, so thank you. The Sage. So let's think about a brand which is all knowing and maybe at the forefront of things. So I've worked with people that are, because they're startup brands, they are bringing new knowledge to the market. They're trying to push the category more. They might have had loads of experience doing something over 20 years, and then they've got a new product idea. So I look into people's personalities because often the brand is very reflective of who they are as a personality. I end up plotting them, not just their brand. And for example, look at the Sage here. It's an older man with glasses, looks like a professor or a scientist, and they get a bit offended. Well, I'm not that person. Like, no, don't worry, you're not that person, but you're a Sage. You've got all this understanding and credibility. That's what sets you apart from everyone else in the marketplace. But the way you might bring it to life for people to make it engaging in your creative, in your any communication, whether it's website, brochures, email, is through the complete opposite of the wheel, which is a jester. So you might be a funny, credible person. So these are people that are so confident with what they know, they can make jokes, and it doesn't make them less credible. It actually makes them more credible because you're engaging with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, see, like this particular wheel goes even farther by putting photographs of human beings to make it even more limited, which shows its limitations. See, I was thinking of a young man I know who lives in Algeria who's, I think, 13 and a half, and he is a wise sage, which leads me to my accumulated wisdom that a sage has childlike qualities all the time. So as soon as you limit it by showing an old person, if you had shown a young child there, someone might have been offended by that. See, if you're offended, that means you have a paradigm that needs to soften and break up, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, enough of these things. Let's talk. So, how do you use archetypes to make your work better, to lead to better ads?
Because better ads only come from really good strategy and brand positionings. If you've got a crap brief, you'll have a crap ad, unless the advertising agency do something very magical and help you set your strategy, which can happen, but that's the wrong way round. So a lot of the brands I've worked for that have had big ad budgets, I've looked at the briefs, historic ones, and thought, no wonder our advertising is a little bit shaky. What have the creators got to work with? And this is the bit where I do have sympathy with you, and I do have sympathy with creators, believe it or not, despite being a researcher. if if am I allowed to swear on this briefly or not? Shit
Well,
in, shit out. I've done it. So if you don't have a good creative brief, you're not going to have a good ad. If you to get to a good creative brief, you've got to have a really good brand, and this is the start point for me.
it's insurance, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
insurance to have a written strategy. It's insurance to have a written creative brief. If you've got a genius who's responsible for creating the actual advertising, you may not need those, but it doesn't hurt. It's like being prepared for something and not needing it is better than needing it and not being prepared. That's survival issues, right? So I guess the main thing I want to get across to you is that the goal should be breakthrough advertising that sells like mad. We believe having a deep understanding of humanity and human beings will help you sell. And how to understand humanity, there are great tools. Some of them are archetype models like this. If you've seen them in the past, look at them again with a fresh eye. If you've never studied them, study them, understand them. When you're conversing about archetypes, you've got another color you can paint with.
That makes sense. I agree for once, Paul. That's good, isn't it?
What is an archetype? It sounds serious, but maybe not. See you next time.
Adios.